There's nothing more humbling and inspiring
And attractive.
than witnessing somebody be truly and uniquely exceptional.
Except, of course, for their journeys. Maybe it's luck.
Maybe it's genetics.
Maybe it's work ethic.
Scott and I wanted to see if we could discover what makes some of the universe's most incredible humans the successes they've become, and ultimately find out exactly how they became
Ugh, so good.
So good. How did you do it? How did you do it? You're so good.
Hey, you
Hey,
guys.
guys.
It's Scott from Pentatonic Superfruit.
And this is Rozzi, a singer-songwriter, and
This is,
you're
you're
so
so
good.
good. And our guest today is seriously amazing at what he does. He's an Olympic figure skater. He's won multiple national championships.
he has a bronze medal from the 2018 Olympics.
Yeah, which is insane. Which made him the first openly gay person to win a medal. He's, I think, the first gay Olympian.
Yeah, I
that's
think so,
out,
too.
Which is absolutely insane.
He was on Dancing with the Stars. He won Dancing with the Stars.
Yes, and then he's a judge on the kids'
And he
version
has his
of
own
Dancing with the
YouTube
Stars.
channel.
Yeah, he just is the coolest.
Adam Rippon, ladies and gentlemen.
What an honor it is to be considered the best.
Yes,
No,
yes.
this podcast, I don't know if you know, because we're so unbelievably casual all the time, but the point of this podcast is, ugh, you're so good. Like, I'm happy for you, but also jealous. That's like the vibe for our guests.
Right. There's
Like
a little
we're-
bit of anger behind it.
Yeah. It's like the anger I bring into like my everyday life. Like, I am so good.
Adam is an Olympian.
Olympian, ice skater, first gay medalist
Which
from
I can't
America, or like
believe-
the world.
The world.
That's fucking cool.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's like I worked so hard at being gay for so long.
right.
That like
That's what it's all about.
But you're like Pete Buttigieg. Like, you're like the first one. It's so exciting
You know, you're not the first person to say
to
that.
compare you
Yeah.
to our future president.
What a trailblazing person I am.
And you also won Dancing with the Stars.
I did.
That's another thing that is
Just
makes
a
you
little
special.
cha-cha for a trophy.
Yes.
I was born at Mercy Hospital, November 11th, 1989 in Scranton,
Okay,
Pennsylvania.
Scorpio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love a Scorpio.
I know. I just read
stubborn
my.
queen.
I am truly.
Yeah. Well, Scorpios and Tauruses are supposed to really fall in love. So you and I already
I
have a
feel it.
connection.
Kiss, kiss,
we
kiss,
just
kiss,
met.
kiss,
But okay, so you're from
Scranton.
Scranton.
Yeah.
Was like skating in the family? Is that a
No,
thing?
skating was not in the family. So I got started in skating by accident. So I remember that, Pennsylvania, cold winters. And so they used to flood this one baseball field over in the winter. And I remember that I had this dream. Do you guys know like those popcorn tins that you can get at CVS? Like
Yes.
last
Yes,
minute.
actually.
Yeah.
Do you like do
Of course you do.
stovetop?
Actually,
Well, it just took me a second, and
yeah.
then it like
You're
came
like,
to me.
yeah. They're my favorite like gift of all time.
Noted.
And so that we had this one in our house, and it was like this beautiful, like Victorian vignette of a whole like community, a town, skating. And there was this one woman in particular who was skating with a suitor, and she was wearing a muff, and she had one leg bent, and she's wearing what I presumed is like a mink coat.
Okay.
As one
And
does.
yeah. And so at 6 years old, I looked at this popcorn tin and I was like, that's me. I can do that. I was like, I can so do that. And it was, and I had this like complete vision of like, this is how it was going to go when I went and I skated for the first time at Montage Mountain. And I go onto first I'm getting ready and I'm like, Mom, can we please get a muff? And she's like, no. And so I was like, you're a bitch. And so I had to skate
I
without
believe
a-
that you said that as a kid to your mom.
You're a bitch. And so I went and I stepped onto the ice and I was like, this is going to be it. This is like the moment I fall in love. And I fell and I got up and I fell again. And I was like, I hate this. I never want to be back. And the only thing I wanted was like a hot pretzel with mustard and a Swiss Miss hot chocolate.
Okay,
Yeah.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same. That's my winter.
So I didn't even start skating again until a few years later when I went to a friend's birthday party in school. And then I was like, I love this.
Why did you love it that time?
Because I was older and I didn't even think to bring a muff.
Oh, so it was the muff's fault.
Absolutely. It's always a muff's
Hard
fault.
to hard to balance with a muff. Like, don't you need your arms?
Well,
Yeah, and how do you catch yourself when you fall?
yeah,
Like, you
that's
just-
tough.
Don't fall.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Use your head. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, so at this party, like, were you good? Like, were you better
No,
than anybody else?
well, I remember that I would like go into the middle of the rink, and the middle of the rink is sort of like designated for all of the skaters that know how to skate and they want to like try tricks. And so I like, shuffle pumped my way into the center, and I was like, show me how. And she's like, you can't do that, whatever she was doing.
A go-getter.
And so then, I'm a Scorpio. I was persistent. I kept asking my mom to bring me back and back to the rink. And then
Persistent,
finally,
Slytherin
absolute
energy.
snake. And for a birthday present, I got signed up for the group classes, and that's how I got started.
Who gave you that present?
My mother.
So your mom really she's the one you have to give your medal to.
My parents have asked if they could have like one of the Grammys
And
at
you're
their
like,
house, and I'm
no.
like, no.
Yeah.
What about like a vase?
You can take a picture
I'll take
of
a picture
the Grammys
and I'll frame
put
it and
yeah.
I'll send it to you.
Did they really ask if they could?
Yeah, they were like, just one of them. You have 3, and then we can show our friends and family. It's actually really sweet, and I totally should do it. Like I'm sure anyone else would.
My next question is, did you like end up having mom or dad like stage version? Like, what's the stage mom equivalent in ice skating?
We just called them
a
like
rink mom?
a skating parent.
Okay, did you
Skating.
have a skating parent?
Like a rink mom.
Were they like?
Did they fight with each other?
So basically, Scranton isn't like a hotbed of like up and coming talent. You know what I mean? They're not like, oh, let's go to Scranton and we'll find the recruits for the next Olympics.
Did you have competition at all in Scranton?
No.
Or were you just like easily the best?
I was like, I took
That's
like,
good for your self-esteem.
oh yeah, I took 3 lessons and I was like, I am some big ass fish in this little pond.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is that I did a competition in the Philadelphia area. So
Big city.
very Mary Tyler Moore of me, like ooh. And my mom picked up a pamphlet of this like one Russian woman because my mom was like Russian equals good.
Right.
And I took lessons with her, and the first thing that she told me later that she thought was like, oh, it's so sad that like she has this really talented boy is coming in, but he's like so fat. But I was wearing like butt pads and like 3 Old Navy tech vests.
Oh my God. How old are you at this point?
10.
Oh no. That's not a good age to be called fat.
I mean, you know what? Start him young.
Was this the only coach that fat shamed? You've told me a fat shame story before. Is
No,
that the
I've been
coach, or
fat
there's-
shamed my entire career.
Oh wow.
My
You're the
we're-
skinniest person I've ever seen. I don't know what to tell you.
I literally have to like run around the shower to get wet. Yeah. It's just like me like literally looking,
For
like
any stream of water.
yeah, I'm just like I haven't showered. Like I'm trying to be clean. But like all the water misses my like slight frame. And just like why? And just like it's like it's like hard being like pretty and thin, but like I've managed so far.
Were you like in the room when she said that, or did she say it to your mom?
She said it later. Because she went to a competition with me, and of course I was in like some like dance skin outfit that my mom found in a catalog, and I was like super thin, and she was like, he dropped the weight.
He dropped that.
But it was just the butt pads.
It was just the excessive padding and fleece.
So you never like had to lose weight for your career.
Of course I had to lose weight for my career. I was competing against 18-year-olds and
Right.
17-year-olds, and I was like pushing 30.
Every pound
Right.
counts.
Every pound counts, especially when your genes are like, you're from Irish immigrants who are on their knees picking potatoes for 30 years.
yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry. I have an ignorant question. Do you have to lose the weight like for like aesthetic reasons, or because like literally it's like hard to jump when you're bigger?
There are people who I think take it that way,
Yeah.
where God, like, oh, if I, maybe I'd get judged better if I wasn't like heavy or if I
Right.
was smaller. Because if you're an athlete, you're not fat.
Yeah.
But I found that I took it like both ways sometimes.
Yeah.
That I was like, somebody's calling me fat. But then when I got older and I was like trying to stay as slight as possible, it really was like mechanical. It wasn't, I never looked in the mirror and was like, get off my body. Like I just, but I was in the mirror like, get off my body. But like, so I can be better.
Right.
So I can be better.
Yeah.
Oh my
that's
god.
intense.
It was never like a dysmorphia sort of thing. It was just like a physical, like I need to keep this weight. I needed to stay 142 pounds. That was like the golden.
Wow.
And on my driver's license, I put 140 because I was like, it's a vision board. My driver's license now says 165 because it's like, I'm trying to bulk.
right, yeah.
So you just keep that as a goal.
You manifest.
Yeah, it's sort of
I
like
love
you
it.
throw
That's
a
the
dart.
lesson of this
That is the
podcast.
lesson of this podcast.
Okay, so what's like training look like for you?
So if I was training out in Philadelphia, this meant that, this is 2 hours, not like in LA 2 hours where it's like, oh, it's just like a light jaunt, but it's like you're trying to get from Hollywood and Highland and Hollywood to like another cross street. I don't know my cross streets very well.
Cahuenga and Lancashire.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like they intersect. So I at first was living. This was like the first time I started living away from home, and I started living with like different families who lived closer to the rink.
Okay.
So I was like 13 when I moved away from home.
And you're doing that to pursue being in the Olympics? Or you were just
Yes.
like wanting, okay, so you had it like in your mind at what age, 13?
And did this come from you? Like, did you want to be, like, where did this come from? What was this desire?
It was, my mom was definitely there to like help me, but this was completely my own idea, something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was just like my passion, and I would do anything. And I remember like there were a few times where I was gonna have to stay with like a family that I didn't know, and I'd be home and I'd be like, yeah, I can do it, and I'd go to my room and I'd be like, they're so weird.
Were you born like intense and passionate like that, or did your parents like raise you to be like that?
I think it's a combo of both. So like when I was young, I would go to school as like most people
Yeah,
do.
apparently you have to.
Yeah, it's like I really tried to bypass that. And the law was like, no. And I was like, okay. It's so
I had a
interesting.
similar story. Because I met your mom and she's like so fucking supportive and awesome. I was like, oh, I see.
Yeah. Yeah. So my mom, so when I would go to school, I remembered like I would not get out of the car until I would scream to my mom over and over, pick me up at 2:45, pick me up at 2:45. Because I was just so anxious.
Bitch.
Yeah. And it was like, whore. And I was just always super intense. And I was intense about everything. Like I remember one time, like I would cry all the time at school.
Was it anxiety based?
Well, and I thought it would help me lose weight.
Right. Lose the water weight.
Yeah. But it was just it was like all this anxiety, and skating was the first thing that I didn't have. Like it felt like a way for me to release that, because as a like small kid, I love sports, but I was not good at any of them.
Yeah, that's a common theme amongst like people who are good at something, because I feel like singing was the only place I felt like totally safe, so I just did it all the time.
It's like when you find that one thing that like you're good at. I remember I took tennis lessons, and Birchwood Racket Club.
Hey, shout out.
And I didn't like it. And I remember that the coach asked the whole class, like, who is the best tennis player in the world? And, like, of course, I'm over here, like, my hand scratching my butt cheeks and picking my nose. And I'm like, you are. And he was, like, asking, like, he's like, no, for real. And I was like,
Yeah.
never saw it. And he was like, if you really like tennis, you will learn everything about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Oh, frog in my throat. It's like I also found singing, and it just didn't find me.
That is true. You don't like choose to be passionate about something. It's like
Right.
you are obsessed with it if you're obsessed with it.
Yeah,
true.
And I had a million VHS tapes of skating, and I watched them
Really?
Wow.
over and over and over. Yeah, and it was just
Did
something.
your parents think this was like, were they, did they believe you? Like, for me, my parents was like, oh, cute, she wants to be a singer. And then by the time I was 14, 15, they're like, oh shit, she's like still saying it. Like, did your parents get it? Like, did they believe it right off the bat? Were they on board? Like, what was their feeling about it?
I think at first it was like, maybe this is just another thing that I'm going to be trying and doing. But I would do things like go the extra mile. Like I remember there was like ice time in the morning, and my mom is like, okay, I don't think I can make it because I'm one of 6 kids.
Ice time before school? What time?
Like 6 a.m.
What
It's, like,
age
on the
were
ice.
you doing this?
Maybe like 10, 11.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's dedication.
I know, it's like so early.
And there's 6
So
kids.
early.
6, yeah.
Okay. Damn.
So my mom is like, I have to get everybody ready for school. So
Yeah.
I remember waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I would wake everybody up. I would give everybody like bathe all my siblings.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
God. Are you the oldest?
I'm the oldest.
Wow.
So I'd get everybody ready. I would do like my sister's hair because that was another like traumatic experience in the morning of doing my sister's hair. And I remember I like got really into it. I was like very, like Nikki
Meticulous.
tutorials, and like did my sister's hair in 2 pigtail braids that I clipped up into a halo.
Oh, wow.
My sister rocked that style many days, and I would tell
So
them.
you were an intense kid.
If you're getting that vibe. So I remember doing that, and they wouldn't get up that early. So I told them, I was like, "You're late," and so they'd be like, "Oh my God, you're
Oh
late!"
my God, conniving.
And so then I'd be like, "Just kidding, you have 2 hours before school." So then I'd turn on Roly Poly Oly, and they were like, "This is amazing."
Oh, wow. I
So
hadn't
then I'd
thought
wake
about
my
that.
mom up, and I'm like, "Can we go?" And she's like, "I have to get everybody ready." And I'm like, "Fuck you." They are. I would go home. I would make sure everybody's homework was done. Because I didn't want there to be like any excuse of why I wasn't able to get to the rink.
Are your siblings like this at all, or is this like a you thing?
Well, it's hard for me to say how they were like growing up because I was away all the time.
Right.
But that being said, I think my mom kind of instilled that level of like, if you're going to do it, you have to give it 100%. My brother graduated last year from Columbia with a master's degree in biostatistics.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And then my other brother is graduating law school this weekend, and
Damn.
yeah.
I gotta say, a theme that's been fun about this is I'm noticing themes
Okay.
from like what works.
This is our research.
And like one of them is like good parents.
Good
and that
parenting, yeah.
sucks because
That's a
you
huge
can't really
thing.
do anything about it. But like, but if you're a parent, I guess out there you can like
And good mentors.
yeah, good
mentors.
good leaders, like somebody
Good
to
coaches and good
somebody
parents
to like look to and learn what work ethic means, like what it means to like, because so many of our guests have said something like, and I feel like you and I had the same thing. We had our episode, like our parents just kind of set up an environment where
Right.
you just did it. Like if you were gonna do something, you just did it. Like there was no like half-assing things.
Yeah,
your
and we're
parents-
learning that in
yeah.
our formative years too,
Yeah.
which is what's crazy. I feel
Right.
like if you don't have good parenting, it's a little bit harder.
It's
You
so
can
much
still do
harder.
it, but it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
have that instilled
But
in you at a
maybe
young
maybe
age.
you're right. It's not parents necessarily. It's just like someone.
I think it's somebody holding you
someone, right.
accountable.
Yeah.
Exactly, and you actually working hard.
Right. It's the accountability that makes the biggest difference because
Yeah.
it's like if you can go and you can be talented and good at something, but it's not always the most talented person. I'm not the most talented person.
Right. I mean,
I'm the prettiest, but it's
The
like
prettiest and the skinniest.
yeah, and the thinnest, which like really like helped me push the extra mile when I felt like
Yeah.
hosting. But it was just that like that accountability that like I needed to have all these things.
Yeah,
checked
that's a
from-
huge thing.
that is
Yeah.
huge.
We were just doing a podcast with Kevin from my band, and he's the same way. He's like, I'm actually not the best at what I do.
Yeah.
I just actually put in the hours, and I don't quit because it's so funny how you can get away with it.
My dad wanted to be like a major league baseball player, and I remember this one story my dad told me where he like had the chance to like go to one of these like trainings, and he was with like one of the teams, and he was like, it was like the first time in my life where he was like, it was like never gonna happen, and like I was way out of my league, and I remember that, and I'm like, it's not gonna happen to me.
Yeah,
not gonna happen to me.
totally.
I still to this day have the same sort of like delusion, which I try to keep with me because I think you need it.
No, I totally
need it.
agree.
You
I
need
think
it.
it's really helpful.
And I
Because
think
if-
it can be learned too. It's
Yeah.
like it's just like if you lean in and you dive in, it's like insane.
It's not even like it's just the fear of failing that holds us back.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think like later in my career, the trajectory of where my career was going, like I, on paper, should have been successful way earlier. But I was really lucky that I wasn't because I had to like learn all of these like adult
Yeah.
life things.
You say this too.
Yeah, so I feel
It's like the greatest gift that I didn't
It
know that
is.
I was getting.
It
Yeah,
is.
and it's really powerful when you realize that like failure is kind of like a good thing.
It's so useful. I mean, I always say like I was signed and dropped, and I've been through just like so many ups and downs in the music industry, and it's been so painful. But what's been so I can't deny is that it made me a million times better artist. I feel like I finally have something to say. I actually serve a purpose. There's like something.
There's an
a reason why I'm
authenticity.
here. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, and I always could sing, but I don't necessarily think I was an artist until I failed, because failure is tight.
Failure is tight is the theme.
So sick.
Failure's so sexy.
But it's that like when I did the best in my career, it was like when I felt at rock bottom. And you don't need to hit rock bottom to have that. And what rock bottom is that you have nothing to lose.
Right.
And when you go into something, you're like, just, this is it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It's okay. This is very Brene Brown. I just watched her
I
special.
love Brene Brown.
Me too. But it's like she's talking about how everything is based in shame. You don't follow your dreams because you're afraid of failure, because you don't want to feel ashamed, because
Totally.
we're all so scared to feel ashamed.
Yeah.
And like once you're like, fuck it, I don't even care if I feel ashamed,
Yeah,
and you
no,
like
it's
lean into
true.
that vulnerability.
No, I
It's
was
like
just- yeah.
everything kind of falls into place. It's wild.
All right, you guys, that's the end of part 1 of our conversation with Adam Rippon. Tune in next time for the second part of our conversation.